It's draft time.
Hey everybody, it's Friday. Rivals of Ixalan has been released. I'm in a much more poorly lit car than you saw last weekend, and that's because it's F&M, it's 6 p.m., it's dark, it's winter. So paper recaps from now on are going to be in this vlog style. I really enjoyed making it. I got huge positive feedback. Don't worry if you didn't like all the food stuff. That's only going to be in, big weekend style vlogs. Paper draft recaps, sealed league updates, they'll be primarily about Magic. There's still going to be some music shots just because I like the narrative structure. But we're at the Gamers Emporium, Oxford and Wonderland in London, Ontario, Canada. Come out and check it out if you are in the area. And we're going to go get drafty. And here we are for our very first paper draft of Rivals of Ixalan. Tomb Robber is my rare. It's a card that I'm not super sold on. I do feel like it's going to be pretty slow. There is a Legion Lieutenant in the pack though, which could push right to the front. It's a little bit rough first picking it, but boy does it ever get you into a lane. There's also a Waterknot that's competing with it. I think it's really between the Reaver Ambush, the Tomb Raider, the Waterknot, and the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire is probably the riskiest pick if you don't quite get those vampires. The Waterknot's probably the safest pick, maybe the Reaver Ambush as well. But I go with the Legion Lieutenant and decide, hey, let's see if vampires come our way. Next pack is here. Let's hope there's some vampires. Well, there's a Sanguine Glorifier right there. There's also a Voracious Vampire, both very good vampires. There's a Bombard in this pack. There's a Luminous Bonds, a Stormfleet Sprinter. Luminous Bonds seems good. Hopefully I can get one of those two vampires back around, but I'll take removal, especially cheap, unconditional removal when I can get it. Next pack, what do we got? Well, we got a Moment of Triumph. Not quite where I want to be picking that. Not pick 3. What else is in this pack? There's a Deadeye Righthauler, a Reckless Rage. That's pretty good. Golden Demise. Hey, a Paladin of Atonement. That's a card that I want to give a try. I don't think it's a snap first pick bomb, but in the vampire deck, it's pretty solid. So in the pile it goes. Next pack, what do we got? We got a Goblin Trailblazer, a Gleaming Barrier, Oathsworn Vampire, Once Bitten, Twice Shy on that card, Dusk Legion Zealot, and a Squire's Devotion, both very solid in the Vampires deck. I'd like to have both. The question is, which am I gonna get back around? I should mention, and I'll mention this several times tonight, we're in a 6-man pod, which is not ideal. So I'm gonna see these cards back around relatively quickly, but do I take that Squire's Devotion? Do I take the Dusk Legion Zealot? I really get torn on this one. I'm not quite sure what the pick is. I honestly can't remember what the pick was as I do this voiceover. Apparently it was the Dusk Legion Zealot. Perhaps it was the correct pick, but boy does Squire's Devotion do some work. Next pick, we've got ourselves a Vampire Revenant right on top. Pretty happy to see that. There's an Arch over Razka, and not much else in this pack for us. There's nothing really pushing me in any direction either. I guess there's a Black-Red Pirate, and I guess there was the Jungle Creeper, but nothing quite here is yelling out at me, and I'm down that vampire path, so Vampire Revenant seems good. Be lovely to have a 4-2 in the air. Up next, we've got ourselves a Riverwise Augur, a Siren Reaver, a bunch of stuff not really for the vampire deck. Heck of a Merfolk deck here. In fact, maybe I should be reading these Merfolk signals. Except I don't really. There's a Grasping Scoundrel and a Sun Sentinel that I kind of zero in on because I want to be black-white. I've got a Vampire Lord. We can get there, right? There are some good Merfolks here. This is probably about where I should have gone the Merfolk route, and I did not. I decide I'm going to go the super aggro route, see if how it can really push some people down here, and I take that Grasping Scoundrel. Next pack is up, and we got some more Merfolk here, some more Pirates. Tomb Robber came back, so we're already back around. That is the downside of a 6-person draft. I take Tomb Robber and decide to give it a try. Next pack is here, and boy, am I feeling the hurt on the Black-White Vampire plan. There's an Evolving Wilds, and there's a Recover. So the question becomes, do I plan on getting something good to splash in later packs, not necessarily a reliable strategy, or do I take the Recover, hoping to bring back my Paladin of the Atonement, or really anything? I kind of go back and forth on which card to take here, whether it's the Recover, whether it's the Evolving Wilds, whether either will come back around. But I do eventually settle on that Recover, and it's the second time I'm going to play a card that I already said I wasn't really going to play that often. Next pick, getting towards the end of the pack, there's still a Moment of Triumph in here, and that's about all there is for me. There's a couple of, well, there's not a couple of decent red cards, there's a decent red card in there, but we stick on that black-white plan and take that Moment of Triumph. Next pick, we're down to the last 5 here. We've got nothing for us. We've got a Gleaming Barrier as the only real pick for our deck, so I take it. Last 4 picks, we've got a Canal Monitor. I'm not going to play it, but I guess it's all that I can really take, and I don't think I'm really going to hate anything out of that pack, so Canal Monitor into the pile. Last 3 picks, and maybe now I'm supposed to really realize I should be Merfolk. I take this Riverwise Augur just so somebody else doesn't have it, but boy, at that point I probably should have switched into Merfolk, although at the end of pack 1, having taken nothing for Merfolk, I'm not sure if that's correct to switch, even though the signals were getting clear. Last 2 picks, we've got a Secrets of the Golden City or a Razka Relic. We take the Relic. And finally, our last pick, Sworn Guardian. Starting into pack 2, hoping to get some vampires, some good stuff here. I feel like I'm getting cut on either side of me. Sphinx's Decree is not what I want to be seeing, but a Statistic Skymarcher is. There's also a Baffling End. Rest of the pack doesn't have much. There's an Exultant Skymarcher, which would be fine. A Moment of Hunger as well. Divine Verdict too. But really, it's between the Sadistic Skymarcher or the Baffling End, and I figure I want to push in that Vampires. I've already got the Vampire Lord, so Sadistic Skymarcher seems like the correct pick there. Pick 2, we've got a Dusk Charger. I don't want that. There's got to be something else. Well, there's another Luminous Bonds. There's also another Legion Lieutenant. 2 Vampire Lords is better than 1 Vampire Lord, so in the deck. Pack 2, pick 3, we've got a Skymarcher Aspirant right on top. That's going to be a little bit hard to beat. We take a quick glance through, and yeah, there's nothing else there. Maybe that Dusk Legion Zealot comes back around, but Skymarcher it is. Next pack is here, and there's a Merfolk Lord and a Silver Guild Adept. We've got a Squire's Devotion, a Famished Paladin, a Legion Conquistador. It's really between the Devotion and the Paladin. I'm not a big fan of that Paladin, so I do take the Squire's Devotion. Next pick, we've got a Cleansing Ray. Well, I don't want that. There's a Dusk Charger, and then nothing. So that's unfortunate. It's about this point where I say, okay, guy on my left. Or I guess I'm the guy on my right. This pack must be black-white, right? So we take the Dusk Charger and start to feel like the draft might go south a little bit. Next pack, we've got an Arterial Flow. We've got an Arterial Flow. That's really about all there is. There's a Kite Sail Corsair going a little bit late there. Again, kind of suggesting blue might have been the way to go. Spoiler alert, the person on my left and right were both blue-red. And not black-white at all. So I'm not sure what happened there, but we take the Arterial Flow, even though I don't super want to play it. Next pack, we've got Divine Verdict, we've got Moment of Craving, we've got that stupid Sphinx's Decree that I just want to rip into several teeny tiny little pieces, and I really kind of have to decide here, which removal do I want? Do I want the cheaper removal that gains me life but doesn't quite kill as many things, but maybe kills things in combat? Or do I want Divine Verdict, which is a little bit more unconditional? I almost put the Divine Verdict into my pile. I really think about it, and then I say, no, it's Moment of Crave. Oh, yes, it's the Moment of Craving. Not sure if that was the right pick there. That's a definite discussion point, but I do take the Moment of Craving. Next pack, we've got ourselves Dark Inquiry, I guess. There's also a Form of the Dinosaur. I'm not sure why that's still there. I know a lot of people are really down on that card. I'm still in the I want to try it. Unfortunately, it's way too late for me to try this time around, but I take it anyways because I don't want anybody else to have it, and there was nothing in that pack for me. I was not taking that Dark Inquiry. Next pack, we've got red, we've got green, we've got a blue card and a Traveler's Amulet. Absolutely stone nothing for me. I take the Traveler's Amulet just in case I get something to splash, but this draft has officially begun to go south. Fifth last pick, and you know what card deserves to go fifth last pick? Merfolk Mistbinder, apparently. This is where I officially realized, yeah, I should have been Merfolk, apparently. Why that was fifth last pick, why nobody at the table went Merfolk, I do not know, but I took it so that nobody else could have it. Fourth last pick, we've got nothing here for me yet again, so I just take the Forerunner of the Empire. No Polyraptor shenanigans this time around. Third last pick, I don't really have any pirates, but I take the Fathom Fleet Border just because it's in color, and maybe I'll desperately need creatures. Second last pick, Relentless Raptor. I don't feel like that should be there either. Take that over the Naturalize, and then finally, a Plummet. Pack 2 did not go well. We got the second Vampire Lord. Little did I know that the person beside me value picked a foil third Vampire Lord with no intention of playing it. I could have had 3, but we're going to go into pack 3 and I guess hope it saves the draft. And here's pack 3 as promised. We crack it open and on top's a March of the Drowned. Don't really want that. Let's the rare. What's the rare? It's a Primal Amulet. We've got a Rallying Roar. We've got an Anointed Deacon. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's on plan. Literally nothing else in the entire pack is on plan, unfortunately. So it's an easy first pick, Anointed Deacon, and I don't really want to see that pack back in only 5 picks. Pack 3, pick 2. Save me, save me, save me. Legion Conquistador is a little bit too late here. There is a Paladin of the Bloodstained, though, and at the back there is a foil Inspiring Cleric. Inspiring Cleric is surprisingly good. A 3/2 for 3 is begrudgingly playable, and when it gains 4 life, it becomes just kind of fine. It's really between the Cleric or the Paladin, and I just take the Cleric. Next pick, we've got a Skyblade of the Legion, a Direfleet Hoarder, I guess, a Pious Interdiction. Well, there's some removal that can keep me back in the game. It's between the Skyblade or the Pious. I take the Pious because there's probably some big bad things that I want to not have attack me. Next pack, we've got a Mark of the Vampire, we've got a Slash of Talons, we've got a Wanted Scoundrels. You guys know how I feel about them, but they can steal games, I know. So it's really between the Scoundrels or one of the auras or spells, so I take the Scoundrels, despite my distaste for them. Next pack, we flip through. Show me those black and white cards. Please? No, apparently not. We had a Costly Plunder as the single black card in this pack. Turns out the person to my right was taking some black cards, but not really vampires. And the only other person taking black white vampires was 3 seats away, so I have no idea what happened in this draft. I think it was just a fact of there only being 6 players and losing 6 packs made for a shallow pool. I take Vance's Blasting Cannons. Maybe I splash for it. I doubt it. Next pack is here, and we've got a Kinjali's Collar or a Sword Point Diplomacy. At this point, I had looked through my deck a few times, counted up playables, and I knew I was going to come out short. So I take Sword Point Diplomacy, knowing that I might actually have to play it. And that feels bad. Next pack, Rallying Roar is back, and if we remember correctly, that's the only card in the pack for us. So we take it, and it's around this point that I realize tonight's not going to go the best. Having taken Arterial Flow, with this pack only having a Direfleet Hoarder and a Raider's Wake, I figure, you know what, if tonight's going to go poorly, we may as well give Raider's Wake a try. It's a dumb idea. It's a real dumb idea, don't get me wrong, but we're going to try it. Next pack, I think this draft has kind of sailed its course, so I guess we're going to take a boat. I actually don't mind the Vampire Boat, but it's my only real pick there. Next pack, there's Stone Nothing for us. There's an Unknown Shores, and that's about it. So we take it, even though we're not really splashing. We weren't going to play any of those other cards. Last 4 picks, we've got a Costly Plunder as really the only pick for us. There is a Hierophant's Chalice, but I don't really need ramp, so we take that Costly Plunder, with no plans, of course, of playing it. Last 3 picks, we've got Tishana's Wayfinder, Sailor of Means, Ancient Brontodon. I figure Tishana's Wayfinder? No. Sailor of Means is the hardest one for us to deal with our X1s and such attacking on the ground. Last 2 picks, still nothing for us. The black-white just disappeared. We take the Ixalan's Keeper. We pass the Ryle over to the person to our right, and we take the Blinding Fog. So draft's over, and it did not go well. It was a 6-person pod, which is why things were a little bit wacky, as they often are in a 6-person pod. Nobody was drafting Merfolk for some reason. You saw I got the 5th last pick, Merfolk Lord, which was weird. I hard picked those 2 Legion Lieutenants to really force myself into vampires, and apparently people didn't quite get the message of that. Marco across the table was drafting vampires. The guy 2 seats to my right was drafting some black and some white vampires. He's in full-on Abzan. I'm playing some cards I really don't want to be playing. I'm playing Raider's Wake. I'm going into sort of a hand attack kind of thing and a Sword Point Diplomacy. I don't think it's going to be a great night, but it's going to be a story. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll let you guys know how round 1 goes. So this is how the deck ended up. Just a couple of callouts here. You'll hear me talk about this in the match recaps as well. Tomb Robber is ludicrously slow, and you invest so much mana and discard into it, and then it just gets bounced or killed. I will probably never, ever be playing Tomb Robber ever again. I still have never cast Swordpoint Diplomacy, so I still can't say for sure whether it's good or bad, but I will say it is bad. Raider's Wake, of course, was a poor decision here, but this draft went south, so I had to give something a go. I did actually manage to do like 8 damage with it in a turn, in addition with Arterial Flow, so that was actually kind of cool, but let's check out how this night went. So match 1 finished, and it was one of the most infuriating matches I've ever played. Game 1, I kept a Legion Lieutenant and a removal. I think it was the 3-mana Pacifism. I then drew nothing but lands for the rest of the game. I drew a Squire's Invocation, and then nothing but lands. It took me, I don't know, 8 or 9 turns to die, but I drew nothing but lands. Game 2, another 5-lander. Again, Legion's Lieutenant in hand, but this time I also had a Wanted Scoundrels, and I figured, hey, that's a pretty quick start. And then again, drew a whole bunch of lands. I drew a couple of more cards. I did draw a couple of enchantment removal. I drew a combat trick at one point, which kept my Wanted Scoundrels alive. Near the end of the game, after my opponent had, I don't know, 10 creatures online, and also Twilight Prophet with the Blessing, and other BS happening, like 8 creatures on the board, I did get to do Raider's Wake, attack, Arterial Flow. I didn't have the Vampire. If I had the Vampire, I actually would have won off of 2 damage discard, 2 damage discard, 2 damage off the Raid Trigger discard, 2 damage off the Vampire. But I didn't quite have that too. They gained more life, and I lost in 2. Not fun. The deck's not good, unfortunately. But we'll see how round 2 and round 3 go.
Just want
Well, I won a game, so there's that. Yeah, I lost again. At least this time it was in 3. My opponent this time, Chris, was playing green-white, kind of dinosaurs. He opened a Ghalta, so he was playing Ghalta. Never actually got it on the field, though. He was actually playing more Merfolk than anything. Jungle-born Pioneer is really, really, really good. The one game that I did win, I just managed to curve out. Turn 1, Sky Marcher Aspirant into a turn 2 Legionnaire, into turn 3 Sadistic Sky Marcher, and just slammed in. I got a Squire's Devotion on one of them as well. Turns out when you draw cards that aren't lands, you can actually do something with this deck. The deck's bad though. There's no real way around it. I'm 0-2. I think what I've discovered is that a 6-man pod is really, really, really awful with Ixalan, unfortunately. You lose 6 packs, and that's just so much synergy that you need. So at my table, there was somebody else drafting some vampires, but they weren't super deep into it. They don't have that great of a vampire deck, and even if you smashed our vampire decks together, they still would be just kind of okay. So I'm really hoping I don't have to do a 6-man pod again in this format. It really doesn't work out well. As much as a 12-person pod would have sucked, because you don't get back at really any cards, you get back 2 cards. I think the deeper card pool would have been better, so I'll push for that in the future. But yeah, we're going to go into the losers bracket and play for Pride next round. See you then. So final round is in the books. I was playing against Ray, who was playing blue-red aggro, which I think is frankly just the best deck in the format, at least right now. A blue-red aggro deck. Another one in our 6-man pod actually won the entire draft. It was a little bit better. It had Protean Raiders, stuff like that. Yeah, I pulled it out. I managed to win. I just curved out, and also I did the winning strategy of making him mull to 4. And then played Arterial Flow, made him discard 2, and just utterly ruined the final game that we were playing. Yeah, my deck was not good. Playing in a 6-man pod was not a good idea for this format. I think a bigger pod, even if you don't get anything back, is a much better idea. So I'll be suggesting that for future matches, or for future drafts for sure. But yeah, all in all, it was still a fun night. It was still Magic, and Magic's always fun. Even if I got crushed and went 1 and 2, I'll be back. I'll be playing Spiky Saturday. I'll be playing more of this format, seeing if I can figure it out, and see if I can just be the one who forces blue-red aggro.
to Peace.